Hey, welcome to the No Guts, No Game podcast. This podcast is dedicated to help you navigate the journey of buying a Sandler franchise. So whether you've just started the investigation or you're knee deep into the decision process, we've got you covered. Hi, I'm Dave Mattson, Executive Chairman and President of Franchising here at Sandler. In each episode, I'm interviewing a Sandler franchisee who is in your shoes. Now, maybe they were investigating 2 years ago or 2 months ago, but they're gonna share their experiences, their insights, the questions that they had when they were sitting in your chair. The goal of the podcast is to provide you valuable information and firsthand accounts from their perspective that will help you in your decision-making process for you and your family. So sit back, relax, and get ready to hear from those who've already jumped into entrepreneurship with a Sandler franchise. Hey, Kate, welcome to the No Guts, No Game podcast.
Hello, Dave. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you again.
Nice to see you.
So, Kate, we've known each other a long time, longer than we want to admit, right? I think we've actually
been around.
Yeah, we've seen each other grow up in this business.
Absolutely.
I think probably you and I, out of everybody, probably have that in common out of all the other franchises.
Probably. And that's why everyone's like, why do you sound like this? Dave Mattson, Ed Staub in my head since we little.
So I wanted to kind of focus in on the family aspect today in our podcast, because I think as people look at the business, certainly, hey, lifestyle business is great and people would love the lifestyle business, but I think you have some other things going on, like, hey, I'd love to build a business that I could sell, but you also hear a lot, I'd like to build a business that maybe my kids would do. And, people have age groups depending on, how old they are when they're looking at a franchise, from, hey, they're in elementary school, but they're looking for, I wish I'd had that, when I was growing up, maybe I could do that for my children if they choose to, all the way up to, hey, my kid's out of college and I wonder if this is something that we could do together, legacy, all that good stuff. And you lived it. Absolutely. So I'd love to hear the story from your perspective.
Sure.
So we go back in time. Your dad was in the business for a long time. I mean, I think it was 1989, 89, 90.
90, yeah.
Yeah. When I got a phone call on a Saturday morning, your dad called in on a Saturday morning. I picked up the phone because I was working on a Saturday morning. I was, the young whippersnapper trying to impress everybody. So I picked up the phone. Your dad was maybe 45 minutes up the road, and we met face to face, and the rest is history. And that is a long time ago, 34 years ago. So, which is awesome. First of all, it talks about the longevity of how long you and the family have been involved with Sandler.
Absolutely. And then awesome. It still works.
It still works. So why don't we go back into a little bit about, how you started? Because right now we could pick it from now, but I don't think that's a fair picture. Let's kind of go back a little bit, because I don't know how old you were when you started.
11. I was 11 years old when I started in the business with Dad, putting the materials together, but I was 22, I think, when I officially started in. So 23 years ago. Yeah.
So from 11 to 23, what were you doing? You were sitting in the back just absorbing, or what was going on there? I mean, did your dad buy the business thinking that you were going to take it over? Let me start.
Absolutely not. He didn't want any of us in the business if we didn't want to be there. His rule to every one of us was, don't make me fire you. So if you come into our business, he didn't go into business to make a family business, but what we saw created, my sister and I had such a passion to continue that legacy that once we got there, we knew that was what it was going to be. But when I was 22 years old, we took a walk one day after he got done training, and he and I were just talking about my future. And I looked at Dad and I said, Dad, I think I can do what you do. And he tapped me on the head. He goes, that's cute, honey. You prove you know how to sell, and then I'll let you do what I do. So I had to go out there and prove myself and grow into build my own network and learn everything I could about Sandler.
So at that point, I guess he made you, let's go do like in the manufacturing, you were sweeping the warehouse. That's what you had to start doing. You had to go from the bottom up. Right?
Absolutely. Learn
your stripes, as they say, right?
Yes. I was literally working until I was 27 part-time, still in the restaurant business. That's what I grew up wanting to be a marine biologist my whole life. Life took a different path. I was working in the restaurant industry. I wanted to own a restaurant. I had 2 young kids. I was burning out 7 days a week, young whippersnapper who could work anytime, but I was tired and I just didn't feel I was making an impact. And so when I asked Dad about working in the business, he said, you're going to learn everything behind the scenes. So I was at payroll, all the accounting, the taxes, contracts, customer care, things like that. Sent me to some business school, got some of that under my belt, made me come through every single training session, listen to every cassette tape. Says really how long I've been around, and CD. Yeah. And I absorbed every best practice from every business owner and salesperson that came into our office and our training rooms for the last 23 years. So I have been kind of growing and learning and implementing since I've been 23. But I always say I have a very unfair advantage to grow up in this business. So.
Well, I think the cool thing is that your dad came into the business not really even thinking about a family-owned business.
Not at all.
And the fact that you've raised your hand, and then your sister as well, right?
Sure.
And said, hey, we'd love to be in the business. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it was maybe a secret dream if you wanted it, but certainly he wasn't going to force you to do that, because I know your dad well enough to say that that's probably a very accurate statement.
Yeah. Hoping and praying, but not going to force it.
Not going to force it. Yeah. So let's talk about that, I guess, early on. So you were 23.
Yes.
And then you started taking over. And what happened? You started off in the selling role, then you went into training. And about what point in time were you like the equal to Dad?
I'm snickering. I'm thinking,
I don't want to be. I know. I don't want to be. Don't send him the video, please. I can see that. Yeah.
No, he makes jokes about it. They used to always say, "Okay, I'm gonna put the A team in with Kate now." So he's been very humble about the whole transition. But in my 20s, because I was such a young mother, my husband's in trucking with Old Dominion. He was gone all the time. Dad let me ease into it. He wanted me to find my footing. He wanted me to learn everything I could about marketing, sales, the stuff we were teaching, how to retain customers, how to prospect, things like that. So about 27 is when he came to me, he said, burn your bridges. I think we talked about that in the formula for success at Sandler. He said, you're either in or you're out. You need to put the part-time stuff aside and focus 100%. So when I made that decision, that was it. That is when I said, I can do this. I'm going to go find, even greater level of businesses, because we built our business on sole proprietors and small business owners, from day one, and they are still our bread and butter. We have such great relationships with these people, but I knew for us to grow and evolve and sustain, we needed to get those mid to large size types of businesses who had 10, 15, 20, 25, up to 2,500 salespeople, multiple managers, customer service. So I went on a mission. I think around 2009, I was sitting through our management training, and we were talking about the primary growth accounts, marginal accounts, and that's the day things changed for me, Dave. I sat down and created a plan. I'm like, I'm going after these customers. I am going to exhaust every opportunity until I can get in the door there and have a conversation. That was our tipping point in 2009 when we started bringing on a different type of, a larger customer, type of customer. And to this day, if we hadn't made that transition to go target that, during 2020, we would have been out of business because they're retainer customers. They've been with me for so long. They plug all their people into all of our public programs. I do some coaching, things like that. So I saw this as, we do such great stuff. I think we're only scratching the surface. Yeah. So
I limited to 1 or 2 salespeople companies, right?
Yeah, or the single business owner, or, I wanted teams of people. I wanted to be involved in their growth and development and the implementation of their systems. So yeah, it really was a pivotal kind of moment in our business.
Now, did your dad, just out of curiosity, because I'm sure it's a team environment, after you, let's just say you went and acquired a client that had 15, 20 salespeople,
sure.
Did you then deliver that? Or does your dad say, hey, awesome job, I'm coming in, put on the cape, he's up in front of the doing the thing?
Dad, where he never had to close a single one of my accounts, nothing like that. I knew that he was such an amazing trainer. I mean, for so many years. And he did the heavy lifting. I would do some things and speak and do some, meetings and run some goal setting, stuff like that. But until about probably 10 years ago, that's when the shift started to occur, maybe around 2012, 13, 14, I guess more than that ago, where he's like, why don't you run some foundation sessions? You run some of those sales masteries. I started running our public programs, and I started going in-house to those customers that I worked with, and they gave me a shot. I had 20-year customers that hadn't seen dad in 10, 15 years, CPA firms saying, hey, we're going to try you out. We liked your dad. Now we need you to prove that you're as good as him. And it worked. And they loved it. They felt that they were getting everything and more. So it was kind of, we just knew when it was time to let me kind of flourish. And it was nice because in 2019, he had a terrible injury, went down unexpectedly. I took his client base on, I had my client base, and then the pandemic hit. Dad was not going to survive in this streaming and digital world. He had no desire. So the timing just was kind of perfect of when I started to really find my footing with training and coaching, and it's just evolved. And now that's my world.
I love the fact that there were certain, I call those pivot points in your life, that if I didn't do this, or you didn't sit through that management program in 2009, I wouldn't have done this. And we all have them. You know, I think that it's kind of, it's cool that throughout your dad had strengths and weaknesses like we all do.
Absolutely.
And in 20, when we didn't, and I know your dad wasn't going to pivot to virtual, right? You were right there. So I think that whole family, which we would hope that it goes like that with every organization. But I know my personal opinion is COVID's kind of destroyed a lot of the culture of most organizations. But that family knit that you had with strengths and weaknesses, hey, I'm going to go do this, I think really probably got you through the 2009 because your dad was there. But then you've got the 2020, crisis, I'll call that. And you guys were just there for each other. And I think that's very cool. Let's talk about a couple things.
Okay.
You have a sister involved as well. So
Yeah.
who does what within the organization? How is it structured now? Your dad's gone. Is he retired?
He's done.
Oh, you took his own.
My dad, Dad's done. He was pretty much done around the end of 2019. So this is a great transition. Kelly's been here longer than I have. She's been with Dad in the business for 27 years. And my sister-in-law was our first administrator, and she had been back in the business till about 2020 as well. So Kelly and I are the ones that have stuck, this whole time. And without Kelly, she has evolved so much because this pandemic has pushed her out of a comfort zone. And I went to her and I said, listen, Mary Beth, they're moving away. My sister-in-law, Dad's done. I cannot sell, train, coach, deliver, meet with clients after class. Kelly, I need you to come out of the woodwork. I need you to be in the training room. I need you to help with the streaming and customer, experience. And I am so proud of her because she is a SC on the dish chart for those that are familiar with it, more behind the scenes.
Quiet, reserved, introverted by nature.
She is a doer. She keeps us on track. She is the glue that holds our company together. But she really did. She stepped up. She's learned to adapt to change. Our customers love the dynamics between the two of us. So Kelly still does a lot of the administrative work, but I have Kelly selling. Kelly did DISC and our assessments with Sandler and things like that for years, but I'm handing her prospects. She's closing them. She has her own customer base. She is in charge of making sure.
Who would have thought, right?
Great experience. It's so cool. It's just so cool to see where she's come from. Yeah.
Well, you can even sense that pride, and I'm sure the coaching and all the stuff that you would hope to get from any sales manager. But when it's a family-owned business, I think it's more than it would ever have been. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So a couple questions on the family thing before I want to move to a different topic.
Sure.
So that's second generation. So down the road, anyone be third generation?
Everybody asks this question often because we'll never be able to retire when we think about it. My son, he actually works with one of our customers in manufacturing. He's a welder. And my other son, his life dream is to be an athletic director. So I don't know if directly it'll be my kids or any of the nieces and nephews in the business. So it's Kelly and I right now. And I remember our CPA saying, it's not normal for a sole proprietor to hand over a family business like this. It's very uncommon. So while we'd love to say there'll be someone else behind us, we just can't, we have no inclination of that at this moment.
Well, your dad had the same answer when you asked him when you were
Yes,
11-year-old sitting there putting
absolutely.
workbooks together in the back of the room, right?
Sure. Absolutely. So
Um,
who knows?
who knows? Who knows? But the thing is, you also have third and second generation clients. So this multi-generational thing that we're talking about today actually extends to your client base. So tell us a little bit
Absolutely.
about that, because I think that's
Absolutely.
also very interesting.
One of our very first, I think, third customer was an HVAC company and they own electrical, plumbing, things like that, the Rohr family. And it was the grandfather and the father at the time. And then as I was coming up, it was the great grandson, Scott. And then we started training their kids. So we had 4 generations that we had touched or worked with throughout that span. But we probably have handfuls of customers that we have been with literally 15, 20, 25, 30, 34 years. And now I'm working with their second and third generation. My management training I just look around the room and I see, oh, second gen, you're now president and 40 years old. I have a 28-year-old young man, superstar. He just became president of a third generation $50 million company. They are acquiring, they have goals to hit 100 million. And I'm working with him almost hand in hand. Right when we get off here, I'm going to coach 3 of his new business development guys. So I could tell story after story of the relationships that are like family now, that we're impacting not only their businesses and their results, but we have become so close with them. I get texts constantly from these types of customers, and we joke about our dads and they joke about, being forced to listen to those cassette tapes in the back of the car when I was a child. So we're so grateful that they've trusted us this long. They know that it still works. We're the ones they turn to because they saw how their parents were, not just in the business, but as parents.
As people.
Yeah.
Sandler,
we take a lot of pride.
I think we use Sandler in our personal lives as much as we do in our professional lives.
Absolutely.
And, I always hear, I wish my kids would get involved so they don't have to go through the 15, 20 years of pain that I went through either as an owner or as a salesperson. So your clients have actually figured that out quickly. And the interesting part is that second, third generation typically says, that worked for my grandfather. Yeah. I'm gonna do my own path. I'm gonna go to X, Y, and Z. But yet they keep coming back. So kudos to you in the relationship and the ROI that you bring, because I know they pay you yearly. So
absolutely, we get retainer. If I can just add something to that, because it's perfect timing. It's a cool thing that I think people would really appreciate.
Yeah.
So much so these parents are investing in their kids, sometimes 17, 18, they're putting them in. Tomorrow morning, we're doing our first ever mini No Guts, No Game program for the youth, middle school to college age. It came from parents constantly saying, you guys need to be in schools. You need to teach this, transactional analysis, IR theory, how to protect one's identity. And we heard it so much. I threw it together. Tomorrow, we have almost 30 kids in the classroom from second.
Wow.
It's so cool. We had corporate sponsors. We would have had 50 kids, but some of our customers we hadn't heard from in 10 years said, I have 3, but we're going to be on vacation. So it just keeps going.
That is fantastic. And what a great way to give back, right?
Yeah.
Because the stuff that you're working on isn't sales techniques. It's mindset stuff. It's how to think about it, self-esteem, set goals.
Getting gutsy. Biggest thing, IR, getting gutsy, not courage, all those things that live in my head from No Guts, No Gain from all those years ago. I want to give that to the next generation because I'm watching them struggle.
I'd love to hear about that afterwards.
I will. We were going to fill you and Janice in and
tell you. So cool. Love it.
Yeah, we're excited.
So timeless. Let's go to timeless for a quick second, because you've seen us morph.
Absolutely.
And if anybody would have heard, hey, this really worked for my grandfather or my father, but times have changed.
Yeah.
Kate, right? We can't do this anymore. Sandler's like old and tired. Mm-hmm. How do you respond to that? Because you're living proof that that's not accurate. I say it all the time, but you're sitting right in front of us, like, telling the story as well.
Absolutely. And the nice thing is, because there's never been a law or a time when the Sandler approach didn't work, and the selling process, all those things, how to communicate, how to get decisions, not making moves without commitments, how to motivate people. those things will never change. Those things are always going to be the same. So I have not had any of that pushback, and because people know, we make them aware. And every time they come to our room, they're getting a different nugget from a different approach, from all the materials that we pull. So we've not had that pushback from anyone ever that you guys are old, 3 generations of doing this. But when maybe if they didn't do it or they tried their own way, they started banging their head against the wall. So maybe you had a couple of that, okay, now we should listen to mom and dad, but we haven't had too much pushback because their results, they've gone like this, and their cultures. I have key cards to businesses around the area that I am a part of their team. And 15 years later, I had a customer, the president said, we need to do our due diligence. Let's talk to this other trainer, see what's out there. We've been with Kate for a long time. Sandler's amazing. We know that. Yeah. And they're like, fine. And it was, nope, we're at the right place. That's not who we are. And so I'm never worried about, being old, outdated, because you guys do such a great job of evolving to the modern times and the buyers and things like that. But at the core of things, David Sandler's system works. The IR theory impacts. All of these things make a difference in people's lives. So when we change people's lives, they're committed to us, we're committed to them. So we don't get that pushback.
We do change people's lives. I think people often say, you guys have great sales tactics and strategies, but David Sandler used to always say, we work on the whole person.
Absolutely.
And as you work on the whole person, that's what makes you a great salesperson. It's almost like, hey, I want to be healthy. Okay, well, I guess you could just diet. Yeah, but you got diet, you got exercise. I mean, there's a million things that go into being a healthy person. Absolutely. I think Sandler figured it out when it came to the world of sales and sales management. There's just more than the words that it takes there. Absolutely. 2 things that I want you to speak about that really wasn't focused on family, but you brought it up and it fits perfectly. One is your thoughts on, you're in a small market, comparatively speaking. Absolutely. You're in a small market, been here a long, long time. I'd love your thoughts and insights for those that think they're in a small market. And second, starting at a young age. Now, the people are coming in, and I started when I was in my late 20s. I didn't have my dad necessarily, but take that aside for a second, because you could have not chose to do this. Talk to those who are younger, looking to say, hey, could I do it? Can I pull it off? My fear was, when I started, I studied, and my thing was, I will know more than you sitting across from me, because I was afraid that they would say, David, do you know I have been selling longer than you have been alive? What are you going to teach me? I mean, I freaked out about this to the point where I became a machine. It was just a defense mechanism, really. Sure. Love your thoughts on the age. Love your thoughts on the market.
The age, you can see I'm sitting at home in between meetings. I have had the flexibility because I was a young mother. Family was important to me. I wanted to have a life. And I know that's even more important to this next generation, because balance is such a key thing that I struggled with my whole life. And Dad wrote a book on that, and I still struggle, right? And so for me, as a young person, if I was going back, I would think, oh my gosh, the opportunities that you could have to come into this business. You might not have an Ed Staub, a father, but you have an entire network of people who have been doing this, that are here to support, here to guide you and help and get best practices from. And the life that you can live is, we travel, we do all the things. We've had all the opportunities we want. We control our income. We can build our business the way that we want. Even in a small little market like York, Pennsylvania, Lancaster, we're not the Philadelphias and the Miamis and the LA and things like that. And we are living an amazing, blessed life, making more money than most people would dream to make. And we love what we're doing, and we're having fun. So every time during the pandemic, I'm not going to lie, there was one day when I thought, should I just go work for one of my customers? I mean, it'd be easier. I could do this. And then I thought, no, why would I? This is my baby. I'm in control of this. And so I think for the young people coming into it, if you get into it now, you pour your heart into it, learn everything, like Dave, you had said, and you take this seriously, and you are a student, and you live it personally and professionally, you can have an amazing life. You can be at your kids' sporting events, if that's your thing. If you want to be home with your dog and take a walk, you can go for a walk with your dog. Whatever your life is about and your purpose, this business allows you to have the most amazing opportunities, meet people from all around the world in Sandler, go cool places.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, help others grow. So what's better than that?
What is better than that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Sandler is a worldwide brand. It's true. But at the end of the day, the brand is those who are in front of clients. You are the Sandler brand in your local area, and just so proud to have you part of Sandler. I know Sandler, if he was here, honestly, he would just be in the car driving up, giving you a huge hug. I
would have loved that. I never even got to meet him.
You are the epitome of what he hoped he was building. And so just super, super proud of you.
I give him lots of shout outs all the time because when you said about pivotal moments, that IR theory, when we were taught it at 11, but when you're young, you're growing up, and then you hit trials and adversity in your early days of your 20s as an adult, you forget what that means. And at 27, it finally hit, and that I will attribute my life and my growth and my path to David Sandler, my father, people like you. But without that, I would have never been able to do what I did without those things that David has created.
Well, kudos to you and your sister. You guys did fantastic. And I think your dad obviously would be proud. You've taken the business to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And which I honestly believe he didn't think was possible. So kudos to you.
Thanks,
and
Dave.
Look forward to seeing you soon.
All right.
Thank
you. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
For more information on Sandler franchising opportunities, go to sandler.com/franchising. And don't forget to subscribe to the No Guts, No Gain podcast on your favorite app.